Park Ji-hoon managed to save the file. That matters. That is the only thing he managed to do. Press Ctrl plus S. 3 seconds before his heart stopped right at his desk at 2 in the morning. The 43rd code revision. The bug he had been searching for 11 hours. Found, fixed, saved. Then the chair, the floor, darkness. If someone had asked Park Ji-hoon how he wanted to die, he would have said something banal, in his sleep, in old age, surrounded by loved ones. No one asked. He died alone in a rented apartment in Seoul, with an empty coffee mug, in a startup logo t-shirt, with the thought finally found that damn bug as the last thought of his life. 29 years old. 4 years without vacation. 1 failed girlfriend who left because he had not come to their anniversary again. Parents in Busan who had stopped asking when he would visit and simply waited. He was going to call them on Sunday. He did not call. The darkness after death was not frightening, just quiet. Absolutely quiet, like sleep mode on a computer. Processes stopped, data saved, waiting for a launch command. Then a voice came. Neutral, mechanical, like a console printing a log. Consciousness without a body detected. Cause of death. Overwork. Injustice, coefficient sufficient for compensation. Reincarnation form determined randomly. A pause. Result? Skeleton. Lowest rank. Non-sentient type. Another pause. Longer. Error. Consciousness preserved. Non-sentient form plus sentient consciousness. Anomaly. Anomalous system issued. Type. Bone evolution. Warning. This combination has not been tested. Consequences unpredictable. Welcome to Acheron. Good luck. You will need it. Park Ji-hoon wanted to say he had questions. Many questions. He opened. No, not his mouth. There was no mouth anymore. Only a jaw. For the first 5 minutes he lay on the ground and did not move. Professional reflex. Before doing anything, find out what you have. Debugging starts with logs, not panic. Bones are present. All his, he felt each one like his own finger. Arms, legs, ribs, spine, skull, all in place. Instead of eyes, 2 bluish flames in the eye sockets. Vision monochrome, with a blue tint, but clear. No organs, no heart, no lungs. The silence inside the chest cavity absolute. No pulse, no breathing. A strangely calm silence. No pain either. At all. He carefully raised his head. The body obeyed poorly, like a new keyboard he was not used to. A cave. Dark, with a faint blue glow from crystals in the walls. Damp earth. Nearby 3 similar skeletons lying. Eye sockets dark. No flames. Inactive. Or dead a second time. He did not know how that worked. The system appeared on its own. Semi-transparent text right in his field of vision, like a HUD in a game. Carrier name not assigned. Form. Common skeleton, lowest rank. Bone durability minimal. 1 serious hit and that is it. Intelligence, anomalously high. The only parameter not at rock bottom. Evolution points. 0. Until first evolution, 300 EP. The principle is simple. Kill creatures, gain EP, evolve into a new skeleton form. The stronger the opponent, the more EP. Evolutions change not only appearance but also abilities. Each form unlocks something unavailable to the previous one. Park Ji-hoon read this and had one thought. 300 points. I am a skeleton that will break from a kick. Logic suggests starting with something very small and very weak. Find something like that in this cave. Not die again while looking. He sat up, then stood, slowly, awkwardly, knees not bending correctly, fell, stood up again, fell again. On the 4th attempt it worked. He stood on bony legs in a dark cave swaying like a newborn giraffe. Good, he said. It came out not as a word. It came out as a teeth clatter, rhythmic, quiet, like someone tapping a finger on a table. No voice, he noted. Remember that. There was something alive in the cave. He felt movement. Not by sound, not by smell, by vibration through the bones from the ground. An unexpected ability not listed in the system description. Bones conduct vibration better than muscles, he understood. That is physics. I am literally resonating with the ground. The vibration source was small, in the far corner of the cave, moving slowly. He went there carefully, pressing against the wall, trying not to clatter his bones against the stone. It turned out to be a slug. Large, the size of 2 palms, dark gray, with a faint glow along its back, crawling along the wall and chewing a crystal. Slowly, stupidly, with no interest in its surroundings. The system identified, cave slug, rank G, EP for kill, 3. 3 out of 300, he thought. 100 slugs. This is going to take a while. But you have to start somewhere. He picked up a rock from the ground. The hand held it poorly. Without muscles, the grip was weak. And struck. The slug twitched. Did not die. Second hit. Third. On the 5th hit, the system reported 3 EP. He looked at the dead slug. 5 hits with a rock. Against a slug. This is humiliating. But there are 3 points. The question arose by itself. After an hour, he had killed 8 slugs, had 24 EP, no, not hurt. Bones could not hurt, but he felt every impact against the wall when he missed. Park Ji-hyun died in Seoul. That name is the past. New world. New form, he thought. A skeleton is bones. Bones are the foundation. What remains when everything else is gone. The most honest thing in a body. Hidden beneath skin and muscles in life, visible only after. Arios, it came on its own. Where from he did not know. It simply sounded right. The system accepted it silently. Carrier name. Arios. Good, he thought. Now 276 more points. The cave turned out to be larger than it looked. Arios explored it for 3 days by his own count of time. Without sun, he oriented himself by creature activity. Slugs always. Bats with bone wings at night. Something large in the deep tunnel, still unclear. The system gave information sparingly. Only the creature's rank and EP for kill. Everything else he figured out himself. Bats with bone wings. Rank G+, 5 EP each. Fast, attack in swarms. The first encounter nearly ended badly. A swarm of 7 attacked simultaneously. 2 hits to the chest gave cracks in 2 ribs. The cracks did not hurt but were felt like a dead pixel on a monitor. Annoying and constant. Regeneration for a G-rank skeleton was nearly 0. The cracks healed in 2 days. Remember, swarms are dangerous. One-on-one is fine, he thought afterward. He learned methodically, like debugging code. Test, notice an error, correct the approach, test again. He discovered that vibration through bones gives a rough map of the cave. He could feel voids and solid sections. He discovered that moving very slowly, the bones barely clatter. He discovered that bats can be caught one by one at the entrance to their niche if you wait long enough. Patience. He had always had that. By the end of the 3rd day, 140 EP halfway. On the 4th day, he went into the deep tunnel. The vibration from there was different. Heavy, slow, regular, like the breathing of something large. He did not plan to attack, only watch. Assess. The tunnel went downward, narrow at first, then widening into a small hall. The crystals here glowed brighter, blue and green. Beautiful. He noted that automatically, something human in the response to beauty still working. In the center of the hall, a stoneworm. The size of a small bus. Gray, with armored rings along its body. Lying curled up, slowly moving its sides. Sleeping or dozing. No intelligence in its eyes. Dull animal force. The system. Stoneworm, rank D, EP for kill, 150. Arios looked at it for a long time. 150 points. I need 160 more. That would close the first evolution almost entirely. But rank D against rank G, that is like a cockroach's leg against a truck. He turned and walked back. Not yet. First evolution first. Then we will see. 2 more days. Slugs, bats, one small spider with a stone carapace he found in a side passage. The spider gave 20 EP and nearly bit off 2 of his fingers. The chitin turned out to be sharper than it looked. On the 6th day, the system, EP 297 of 300, 3 points, 3 more. He found a slug, the most ordinary one, picked up a rock, struck. System, EP 300 of 300, first evolution available. He expected it to be quick, like loading an update. It turned out differently. First warmth. Strange, dry warmth in every bone simultaneously. Then pressure from inside, as if the bones were trying to become something else. This lasted about 20 minutes, long, uncomfortable, disorienting. Then silence. He looked at his hands. The bones had darkened. From beige gray, they had become dark gray, almost anthracite. Denser. Heavier. Something had changed in the joints. They moved more smoothly. System. Evolution complete. Form, dark skeleton. Rank G+. Bone durability doubled. Speed slightly higher. New ability. Bone strike. Concentrating bone density at the point of impact. Damage increased by 1.5 times. Until second evolution, 1000 EP. He clenched his fist, felt the difference. Denser. More assured. Then he looked toward the deep tunnel. Stoneworm. 150 points. Now maybe. Arios prepared for the hunt on the stoneworm for 2 hours. Not because he was afraid, though reasonable caution was present, because he was analyzing. What he knew about the worm: large, slow, armored rings protect the body, moves through vibration, blind or nearly blind, responds to sound and ground movement. What he had: dark bones twice as durable as before, bone strike, knowledge of the cave, and the vibration reading ability. What he did not know: how fast the worm is when it attacks, whether it has vulnerable points. Hypothesis: the vulnerable spot is the junction between the rings. The armor is thinner there, like the gap between armor plates. Test the hypothesis experimentally. He entered the lower hall quietly, very slowly, along the wall, almost no vibration. The worm was dozing. Arios circled it and studied. The rings, the junctions, the head. A blunt end with a wide mouth, no visible eyes. The tail, thin, actively moving even in sleep. The tail is dangerous. The head is the main threat. The junctions between the rings, the target. He chose an attack point, the third ring from the tail, away from the head. He picked up the sharpest rock he could find. It would serve as an improvised weapon. He took a step forward. The floor crunched under his bony foot. The worm woke instantly. Its body tensed, the head rose, the mouth opened, rows of teeth inside like a grater, wetly gleaming. Faster than it seemed, noted Arios at the edge of his consciousness. The worm struck, not with its teeth, with its body. A sideways blow, full body, like a whip. Arios jumped. Instinct fired before calculation. The blow passed under him, caught only his legs. He hit the wall, bounced off, stayed upright. Good. Stayed upright. Now counterattack. While the worm turned, slowly, large body, he ran up from the side. Found the junction between the rings. Activated bone strike. Felt the density in his fist rising. And struck. The worm shrieked, more precisely produced something between a whistle and a screech. It reacts, so it hurts. Hypothesis confirmed. But the worm did not stop. Its body coiled, an attempt to crush. Arios jumped back, his foot caught in a depression in the floor. He fell. The tail passed a centimeter away. Fell. Get up. Fast. Got up. The worm was already turning again, orienting more precisely on the sound of the fall. Open mouth directed his way. Arios did not run away. He ran forward, under the head, between the mouth and the first ring. There was a dead zone there. The worm could not bite at a point directly beneath itself. 3 strikes at the junction between the first and second ring. All 3 with bone strike. The worm jerked, started convulsing. The rings contracted and relaxed. Second sideways blow. This one Arios caught fully. His chest crunched. He flew back to the wall. 3 ribs, cracks, 2 probably fully broken. Ignore, no pain, only restricted mobility. The worm turned. Slowly, too slowly. Arios was already beside it again. Same spot. More strikes. More. On the 15th minute of the fight, the worm stopped. Its body relaxed, the rings went slack, it slowly toppled onto its side. Silence in the hall. Arios stood over it. 3 broken ribs, a crack in the left humerus, and looked. System. Stoneworm, rank D, EP 150. Bonus for opponent rank superiority, multiplier 2. Total, 300 EP. He looked at that number for a long time. 300 for 1, twice the calculated amount. Bonus for difficulty. This is important. Difficult targets are more profitable than weak ones quantitatively. Store in memory. Use. He sat down beside the dead worm, waited for the ribs to start knitting. That would take about 3 days. He was in no hurry. On the 8th day, new vibration. Different. Not animal. Rhythmic, organized. Footsteps. Many footsteps in sync with a metallic ring. People. Or something organized. Arios found, I continue the story from the point where it stopped. Arios hears people above. The vibration came from above, from a fissure in the ceiling of the far corridor. Narrow, almost invisible, buried under small stones. Arios cleared it quietly. Spent an hour doing it carefully, 1 stone at a time, without noise. The fissure led into a short ascent, about 5 meters vertical, then a horizontal crawl space. He squeezed through. The body without muscles and fat turned out to be unexpectedly convenient for narrow spaces, only bones, and emerged into a dark niche behind a large rock. From here, a view of an underground hall opened. Large, with high vaults, torches on the walls, roughly hewn steps, and people. 8 people. In armor of varying quality, from simple leather to iron breastplates, each one armed. They moved with confidence, held formation, spoke in low voices. Monster hunters, or adventurers. Arios did not know what they were called in Acheron, but the function was readable without translation. At the front of the group walked a tall man with a 2-handed sword. Light hair, noticeable. Arios had already learned to distinguish it. Strong. The others kept slightly behind. The leader was obvious. Beside the leader, a young woman in a light robe, a mage. She held a staff with a crystal, looked around attentively, scanning the space. Dangerous, noted Arios. Mages notice what warriors miss. The group moved through the hall, heading toward the lower tunnel, toward where the stoneworm had lived. More precisely, where it used to live. That became a problem 2 minutes later. The leader stopped at the tunnel entrance, looked at the worm's body, already cold, partially decomposed. Dead, he said. Someone got here before us. The mage came over, crouched down, examined the body carefully. Impact marks, she said slowly. Blunt. No weapon, bare hands or fists. A pause. Precise strikes at the junctions between the rings. Someone knew the anatomy. The leader scanned the hall. Another hunter group? Does not look like it, said the mage. No shoe prints. Only. She studied the floor. Narrow impressions. Very narrow. She raised her head. This is not a human. Silence in the group. One of the warriors in the back, young, nervous, put his hand on his sword. Undead? Possibly. Arios sat in the niche and thought, they cannot see me yet. I am dark. The niche is dark. I can go back into the crawl space, but they will be here, in my cave. That creates a long-term problem. Question: attack or not attack? The system reminded curtly, people of unknown rank, EP for kill unknown. 8 people, a strong leader, a mage who already suspects. Odds are bad. Do not attack, observe, gather information. He stayed in the niche. The group spent about an hour in the cave. They searched the halls, collected crystals from the walls, tossed them into bags efficiently, clearly knew their value. The leader made notes in a small book. Arios listened to the conversations. The language unfamiliar at first glance. But the system translated automatically. He had noticed that on the first day, he simply heard the meaning without thinking about it. "Rich cave," said one of the warriors. "Stocky, with an axe. Crystals worth at least 300 coins. "The worm is dead," replied another. "That means someone already knows about this place. They will come again." "We will register it with the guild," said the leader. "Make it officially claimed." "Vartan," called the mage. The leader, Vartan, came over. She stood at the wall, looking at the stone. "What?" "Someone sat here." She touched the stone surface with her fingers. A vibration trace. A living creature. Several hours. A pause. It was watching us. Vartan turned. Looked at the niche behind the large rock, directly where Arios was sitting. A pause of 3 seconds. "Already gone?" he asked quietly. "I do not know," said the mage just as quietly. "But it is intelligent. It did not attack. Undead that does not attack on its own." "Exactly." Vartan looked at the niche for another second. Then deliberately loudly toward the niche. "If you are here, we are not going to touch you. We are just taking the crystals and leaving." Silence. Arios did not move. "He knows I am here. Or suspects." "Smart." Vartan waited. Received no answer, because Arios could not answer with a voice. Shrugged. "Let us go," he said to the group. They left. Arios came out of the niche when the footsteps had gone completely quiet. He sat in the empty hall. Thought. People know about the cave. They will come again for the crystals. They will claim it officially through the guild, whatever that meant. That means my quiet cave stops being quiet. That means I need to leave. Or not. If I leave, unknown territory, no map, no base. If I stay, contact with people is inevitable. The second option frightened him less than it should have. Vartan knew I was here and did not attack. The mage recorded that I had been watching and did not attack. They drew the correct conclusion. That is the right conclusion. Can be used. He stood up, walked to the exit of the lower hall, found the wall at the tunnel entrance, picked up the sharpest rock he could find, started scratching on the wall. Slowly, carefully, letters of the Asheron language, the system prompted the shapes. 3 words. I am here. Then he went to the far corridor, to wait. They came back 2 days later. The same group. Vartan, the mage, he heard her name this time, Selna, and 4 warriors. 2 of the previous ones were gone, but new ones had appeared with more serious armor. Vartan entered first. He immediately looked at the wall by the tunnel, saw the inscription. Stopped. Selna came up beside him, read it, was silent for a moment. 3 words, she said. Correct spelling. Undead that knows the language. Or learned it, said Vartan. He was looking at the inscription with an expression Arios had already learned to read. Not fear, not aggression, sharp interest. Are you here? Vartan asked the empty hall, loudly, calmly. Arios came out of the corridor. Slowly. Hands lowered. He had heard somewhere that this mattered. The absence of a threatening posture. He stopped 10 meters from the group. The warriors behind Vartan tensed. Hands on weapons. One, that nervous young one, took a step back. Vartan did not move. He looked at Arios, at the dark bones, at the blue flames in the eye sockets, at the 3 broken ribs that had not fully healed, a crooked chest, noticeable. You killed the worm, he said. Not a question. Arios nodded. Selna drew a slight breath. Quietly. Alone? Asked Vartan. Arios nodded again. Rank G+. Stoneworm of rank D. Vartan spoke evenly, as if checking the logic aloud. Alone, without weapons. Arios looked at his hands. Raised his fist slowly, not threateningly. Showed it. Here is the weapon. Vartan laughed. Briefly, sincerely. Understood, he said. Can you speak? Arios slowly shook his head. No. Do you understand us? A nod. Yes. Vartan crossed his arms. Thought for a second. Then one movement for yes, another for no. Agreed? A nod. You are sentient. A nod. Have you been here long? Arios held up 10 fingers. About 10 days. Undead do not appear on their own. Someone created it or reincarnation. Arios pointed to himself, then made a movement with his hands from top to bottom. Fell. Reincarnation. Selna stepped forward. The warriors flinched. She stopped them with a gesture without looking. May I come closer? She asked. Arios did not move. Neutral posture. That was yes. She came within 3 meters. Looked carefully, the professional gaze of a mage studying a subject. Dark skeleton, first evolution, she said quietly. Not to Arios, to Vartan. But the Kai inside. Non-standard. Too organized for undead of this rank. A pause. As if there is someone inside it. There is, said Vartan. He was looking at Arios. Correct? A nod. Vartan nodded in return, slowly, like a man who had made a decision. Good, he said. I am Vartan, leader of the Grey Blade Squad. We are rank 2 hunters of the Asheron Guild. A pause. This cave is rich. We will be coming. Arios waited. We do not need conflict, Vartan continued. If you do not attack us, we do not attack you. A pause. More than that. You killed the worm. Something like that deserves. He thought for a second. Information, he finished. You clearly do not know some things about this world. We can tell you. In exchange. The right to work the cave undisturbed. Information, Arios thought. That is better than any payment. He nodded. Vartan extended his hand. Arios looked at it. At his own bony hand. Extended it in return. They shook hands. A rank 2 hunter and a dark skeleton with no name in an underground hall by torchlight. Selna watched this and wrote something in a small book. They told him a great deal. Arios listened, sometimes nodded, sometimes shook his head. Asked questions with gestures and his gaze. Vartan learned to read them quickly. The world of Asheron is large. People live in cities and villages beyond which it is dangerous. Monsters, undead, anomalous zones, rifts, places where the laws of nature work differently. There is a guild, an organization of hunters. They take contracts for monster clearance, protection, exploration, ranks from 10th, the lowest, to 1st. Vartan and his group are rank 2, nearly elite. Undead in this world are usually mindless, raised by necromancers or spawning naturally in anomalous zones. Sentient undead are an exception recorded in the chronicles. Encountered once a generation, they cause panic and are usually destroyed immediately. If they see you in a city, said Vartan, they will attack first. Ask questions later. A pause. That is an honest warning. Arios nodded. Remembered. You can evolve, said Vartan. Not a question. He read Kai in his own way, by a hunter's instinct. You have a system. I can sense the structure. A nod. Then listen. Vartan took out a map. To the east from here is the village of Calderos. 3 hours on foot. There is a market, people, information. He looked directly at him. You cannot go there yet. But near the village there are hunting grounds. Monsters of the mid-range hunting grounds near Calderos. Arios memorized every word. Grey wolves, rank G+, in packs of 5. Stone rats, rank G, in burrows near tree roots. Swamp troll, rank D, a loner, lives by the eastern lake. Go around it. About the troll separately, said Vartan seriously. One of ours lost an arm last year. Rank D is not like the worm who is blind and slow. The troll is smart, vicious, regenerates fast. Arios looked at the map, memorized. Selna sat a little to the side and was still writing. He glanced at her. She noticed. I am studying you, she said without apology. Sentient undead with an evolution system. There are none like that in the Academy's chronicles. A pause. You are a unique case. Unique again, he thought, just like in the life of Park Ji-hoon. They're the only one who stayed in the office at 2 in the morning. Here the only sentient skeleton. A pattern is visible. Vartan was folding the map. One last thing, he said. If you go out of the cave, do it at night. In the daytime, peasants from Calderos walk along the western slope looking for mushrooms. If they see you, bad. Arios nodded. Understood. We will come in a week. Vartan stood up. If anything changes, leave a mark on the wall. We will see it. The group was leaving. At the exit, Selna stopped. Turned around. Do you remember who you were before this? She asked. Arios thought for a second. Nodded. That is hard, she said quietly. Not with pity, with understanding. To carry the memory of another life in a body that never knew that life. She left without waiting for an answer. Arios looked at the empty passage. She said it right, he thought. But it does not make it easier. The first trip out of the cave, at night, 3 days after Vartan left. The forest greeted him with vibration. It was different from the cave. The cave gave closed signals, clear, predictable. The forest hummed. Thousands of movement sources simultaneously. Insects, animals, wind in the leaves, roots moving slowly through the earth. Arios stopped at the cave exit and simply listened for several minutes. A lot of information. Need to filter. He began separating the layers the way you untangle messy code. Strip out background noise. Strip out the small. Keep only what moves with purpose. 5 sources to the northeast. Rhythmic, synchronized. Wolves, a pack. He went in that direction, slowly, along the trees, using the shadows. Darkness was not a problem for him. The blue vision worked the same in any lighting. He found them at a stream. 5 gray wolves, large, with faintly glowing eyes. Anomalous, not ordinary animals. They were drinking water, communicating in low growls. System: Gray wolf, rank G+, EP 5 each. Pack: 25 total. Pack bonus possible. 25, slow. But there is no choice for now. He watched for about 10 minutes, studied the behavior. The largest, the alpha, walking the perimeter. 2 young ones keeping together by the water. 2 mid-sized ones at the edges. The alpha last. Remove the young ones first. The pack will not react immediately. Then, the mid-sized. The alpha alone is easier. This is called optimal elimination order. In programming, a priority task queue. Same logic. He started with a young one, jumped from a low branch, bone strike to the base of the skull. The wolf dropped without a sound. The second young one turned. Did not have time. Arios was already beside it. The pack reacted on the third. The alpha raised his head, caught the movement, howled. The 2 mid-sized ones lunged simultaneously. Arios did not run. He stepped aside from the first. It missed, flew past. The second reached his shoulder. Teeth slid across the dark bone, did not break through. Durability increased after evolution, working. He struck the mid-sized one that had missed. From below, under the jaw, bone strike. The wolf flew back into a tree. The second mid-sized one was coming from the side. The alpha still was not moving, assessing. Smart for a beast. Arios killed the second mid-sized one. 2 quick hits, no elegance, just effective. The alpha lunged. Large, nearly as tall as Arios, a powerful leap straight at the chest. The blow threw him back. He hit a tree, heard a crack in his spine. Not a break, a crack. It would have hurt if he were able to feel pain. The alpha stood over him, paws on the chest, open jaws, right into the blue eyes. Growling. Arios looked up from below. It will bite the skull now. If it breaks through, that is the end. Do not let it bite. He raised both hands, grabbed the alpha by the lower jaw and the muzzle. Held. Would not let the jaws close. The wolf thrashed, growled, beat with its paws. Claws scraped across the ribs, left scratches on the bone. Arios held. It is physically stronger, but I have no fatigue, no muscle exhaustion. I can hold for as long as needed. A minute passed. 2. The alpha fought with less and less force. Not because it tired, because it could not breathe normally with its jaws held. Panic was building. On the 3rd minute, Arios shifted his grip slightly and sharply. A crack, silence by the stream. He stood up, checked himself. Crack in the spine, scratches on the ribs, everything else intact. System: 5 gray wolves, pack bonus, multiplier 1.5, total 40 EP. EP 340 of 1,000. Slow, he thought, but it is coming. He returned toward dawn. The forest was beginning to lighten. He needed to be back before sunrise. He was walking through the thicket on the western slope and felt a vibration. Small, weak, unstable. A living creature. Small, motionless. He stopped. Found the source under the roots of a large tree. A cub. An animal he had not seen before. Small, with gray scales, with a short horn growth on its nose. The size of a cat. Lying on its side, breathing. The vibration unstable because the breathing was labored. Injured or sick. The system was silent. Too small a creature to identify a rank. Arios looked at it. Not my concern. I need to get back to the cave. Sunrise in 40 minutes. He stood. The cub opened its eyes. Small, golden. It looked at the skeleton standing over it. Did not get frightened. Too weak to be afraid or too young to understand danger. It simply looked. The way Park Jae-hyun looked at his screen on the last night, a strange thought came. Too tired even to be afraid of the result. Arios crouched down, carefully picked the cub up. It did not resist, only weakly twitched its tail. Warm. Alive. Why? He thought while carrying it back to the cave. No logical reason, but no reason to leave it either. He named it Scales, in his mind. Not because the name was beautiful. Simply the first thing that came when he looked at the gray scales in the light of the crystals. The system identified it a day later when the cub had recovered a little. Young ash drake, rank E, maximum adult rank B. Status: weakened, hungry. A drake, Arios thought. A rank E drake in ruins under mushrooms at the root of a tree. This world surprises sometimes. There was nothing to feed it with. Arios had no food, no stomach. Nothing at all of what you use to feed creatures. He carried the cub to the stream, set it by the water. The drake drank for a long time, eagerly, without stopping. Then it sat beside Arios and looked at the water. They sat in silence. A skeleton and a dragon cub. Arios thought about 1,000 EP, about the second evolution, about the swamp troll that Vartan had told him to go around. Scales leaned against his leg, simply because the warmth was right there, from the crystal dust on the bones that glowed faintly. He took me for a heat source, Arios realized. Logical. I have no body temperature, but the crystals on the bones give off a slight radiation. It is warming itself. Let it warm itself. Vartan returned a week later. He came with Selna and 1 warrior. No extra people. He saw the drake lying on Arios' shoulder, was silent for a long time. That is an ash drake, he said finally. Arios nodded. You found it in the forest. A nod, and brought it back. A nod. Vartan looked at Selna. She was looking at Arios with the expression that comes when reality diverges from expectations. Undead, that picks up injured drakes, she said slowly. That will be an interesting entry in the chronicles. Arios pointed at Scales, then made a questioning sign. A raised palm. What to do with it going forward? It will survive on its own, said Vartan. Ash ones are hardy. It feeds on crystal dust and small insects. A pause. If it has bonded to you, it will stay close. Drakes choose a partner early and do not change. A partner, Arios thought. That was not in the plan. Scales looked at Vartan with golden eyes, then hid behind Arios' neck. It chose you, said Vartan with a short laugh. Congratulations. Vartan brought information, a regional map, a list of monsters by zone, approximate EP that Arios had not known for many creatures, and something important. 3 days to the north, he said, there is an old rift, closed, officially non-dangerous. But inside there is an anomalous concentration of undead. He looked at Arios. For you this might be. Arios raised a hand. Understood. Lots of undead. Lots of EP, the rift. Remember? There is a nuance, Selna added. Inside rifts, the undead are different. Not just monsters. There you encounter guardian undead. They protect the rift's core. Rank C at minimum. C, Arios noted. Too strong for now. Not now, as if reading his thought, Vartan said. When you are ready. 1,000 EP came in a month. Not through one big fight. Through 20 small ones. Wolves, stone rats, bats from the second cave he had found to the east, pack spiders near the swamp. And one big one. The swamp troll. Vartan said to go around it. Arios went around it for 3 weeks, then came and watched for 3 nights, studied movement patterns, sleep schedule, reaction to sounds. On the 4th night, he attacked. The troll turned out to be exactly as Vartan had described, smart and vicious. For the first 5 minutes, Arios simply ran. Not elegantly, not tactically, just survived. The troll was fast, hit hard, regenerated in front of his eyes. A club blow to the chest, 3 ribs to dust, another blow, the left arm broken at the elbow, hanging at the wrong angle. Bad. But the troll regenerated, and Arios did not. That meant a drawn-out war of attrition was impossible. Had to be fast. One vulnerability. He looked at the troll in motion. Massive, green, with bark instead of skin on its shoulders and back. The belly soft, no bark. The throat unprotected. The throat. He did what he thought of in a fraction of a second. Fell. Simply dropped to the ground before the next blow. The troll missed. Lost balance for a fraction of a second. Forward, over Arios. Arios from below. Broken arm. Through the pain that was not there. Maximum bone strike to the throat. The troll rasped. Second strike, third, with the good arm, without stopping, 1 point. The troll dropped to its knees. 4th strike. Silence at the swamp. System. Swamp troll. Rank D+, EP 200. Bonus for enemy superiority. Multiplier 2.5. Total 500. EP 1,000 of 1,000. He lay on the ground beside the dead troll. 3 ribs to dust. Arm broken. Cracks across the entire spine. Scales climbed down from the tree. He had been sitting up there the whole time, and sat down beside him, looked at Arios with golden eyes. Everything is fine, said Arios. It came out as a clatter of bones, as always. Scales understood somehow, pressed close to his side. The second evolution was worse than the first. If the first was a reconstruction, this was a reforging. The bones heated from the inside to white heat. He felt each bone changing its structure, not simply darkening, recrystallizing, becoming a different material. An hour, maybe more. Then silence. System. Evolution complete. Form. Ash bone. Night. Rank D, durability 4 times the original. Speed significantly higher. Height 2 meters. New abilities. First, Ash Burst. Ash dust is released from the bones on a strong impact. Within a 2-meter radius, temporary blindness and disorientation of the opponent. Second, Ash Regeneration. Broken bones begin slowly recovering on their own. Speed is low, but it exists. Third, Bone Armor, activated manually. The bones release an outer layer of ash bark, additional protection over the skeleton. Until third evolution, 5,000 EP. Arios stood up, 2 meters. He felt it immediately. A different eye level, a different center of gravity, a different scale of body. He looked at his hands, the bones now anthracite black with gray veins, like burnt stone. Natural spike-like growths at the joints. Beautiful in a disturbing sense. Scales looked up at him, craned his head back, then sneezed ash dust. Yes, Arios thought. I am big now. He activated bone armor, felt a layer growing over the bones. Ash gray, matte. It looked like armor. Real armor. Then deactivated it. Too heavy for now. Need to get used to the new body. Calibrate the movements, like after an operating system update. Same hardware, different software. He took a step, another. He began moving around the clearing. Slowly at first, then faster. The body responded differently. Better. More confidently. Good, he thought. But 5,000 until the next one. That means the rift. Vartan saw him 4 days later. He came to the cave and froze at the entrance. Then slowly looked at Selna. Second evolution, she said evenly. But something in her voice. Rank D, said Vartan. You are now the same rank as the swamp troll I told you to go around. Arios looked at him. You killed the troll, Vartan understood. Not a question. A nod. Vartan exhaled. That means 500 EP in one fight, he thought. Fast. Arios gestured. The rift. The sign they had worked out. A circular motion of the hand. Vartan frowned. You want to go into the rift? A nod. You just reached rank D. A nod. The guardian undead inside are rank C minimum. Arios gestured. I know. A long pause. I cannot stop you, said Vartan finally. And, he paused. Honestly, I am not sure I need to. He looked at Arios. You killed a rank D worm while being G+. Killed a D+ troll at rank G+. A pause. You do not fight with strength. You fight with your head. Arios nodded slowly. Exactly. Then one condition, said Vartan. We follow behind. Not inside. At the entrance. If you do not come out in 3 hours, we leave and count you dead. Arios thought for a second. Nodded. The rift looked like a crack in the air. Literally. A vertical crack about 3 meters high, behind which the space was different. Darker. Heavier. As if the air inside weighed more. Arios stood before it. Vartan with the group 20 meters behind. Selna held some device in her hands, measuring the rift's aura. Scales sat on his shoulder, looking at the crack. Arios carefully removed him, placed him on Selna's shoulder. She was surprised but did not shake him off. No need to go in there. He could not explain with a gesture. He simply placed him and stepped away. Scales watched him with golden eyes. Arios activated bone armor. Ash bark grew over the black bones. He checked the joints and movements one more time. He stepped into the crack. Inside, a different world. The sky dark violet. No light source but twilight everywhere. The ground black, cracked, with dead grass. Trees twisted, leafless, with pale bark. And undead, many. Wandering skeletons, ordinary, mindless, rank GF. Moving chaotically without purpose. Arios walked past them. They did not react. They do not touch their own. Useful. Deeper. The undead were different. Ghosts, rank E, drifting between trees, glowing with a faint white. They glanced at Arios but did not attack. They saw one of their own. Deeper still, he felt a vibration of a different kind. Heavy, rhythmic, not living. Undead, but with Kai. Organized, strong. The Guardian. The Guardian stood by a large black stone in the center of the rift. It looked like a knight. Full armor of black bone. A two-handed sword of the same material. 2 meters tall. The same as Arios now. Eyes, red flames, not blue. Rank C. The system confirmed. EP for kill, 1,000. 1,000 in one fight, Arios thought. A fifth of the way to the third evolution. The Guardian looked at him. Did not attack immediately. It was assessing. Intelligent. Not like the troll that charged right away. An opponent with tactical thinking. A different level. They looked at each other for about 10 seconds. Then the Guardian raised its sword. And Arios understood something important. From the way it held the sword, the way it shifted its weight. It had fought this way thousands of times. This was muscle. No, bone, memory. The style worked down to automatism. I have no style. I have a head. That is either an advantage or a death sentence. The Guardian struck. Fast. No wind-up. A straight blow with the enormous sword. Arios stepped not to the side, forward. Under the sword, right up to the Guardian, where the sword was not dangerous. Too long for close quarters. The Guardian reacted. Elbow, a body blow, threw him back. Fast. Adapts. Arios activated Ash Burst on impact with the Guardian. A cloud of gray dust burst from his bones, spread through the air between them. The Guardian paused for a second. The red flames flickered. Works even on undead. Disorientation. 1 second. Arios struck the knee. Bone strike, full concentration. He heard a crack. The Guardian stepped back. The leg bent at the wrong angle, damage to the joint. Good, but after 5 seconds the joint began to recover. Slowly, but visibly. Regeneration. Like the troll. That means a drawn-out fight is its advantage. I need to be fast. Critical damage in a short time. Arios looked at the Guardian, at the armor, at the structure. Black bone everywhere, except one place, the spine, the back of the neck, the junction between the skull and the first vertebra. The armor did not cover it completely. A small gap when the head tilted. 1 point. Need to get behind it. The Guardian attacked again. A combination, sword plus free hand. Smarter than before, it had learned. Arios evaded twice in time. The third time took a hand blow to the side. 3 ribs cracked. Did not break. Bone armor absorbed part of the impact. Holding. Good. He began moving in a circle. The Guardian turned, tracked him. Arios sped up. Faster, faster still. The second evolution had given speed. The Guardian could not fully keep pace. A circle. Another circle. The Guardian began losing track of the direction. Now. Arios sharply changed direction. Not around, diagonally, behind the Guardian's back. While it was turning, a leap onto its back, both hands on the Guardian's head, found the gap. Bone strike. Maximum. Everything he had. Both hands simultaneously at one point. The Guardian convulsed. Another strike. The red flames flickered once, twice. Third strike. They went out. The Guardian slowly fell forward. Hit the black ground, lay motionless. Silence in the rift. System. Guardian, undead, rank CEP 1000. Bonus for rank gap, multiplier 3. Total 3000. EP, 3000 of 5000. Arios stood over the dead Guardian. Bone armor cracked in 3 places. 3 ribs damaged. Left elbow, a crack. Damage, but alive. Relatively. He looked at the black stone in the center. The rift's core. Dark Kai pulsed inside. The system suggested quietly. Absorbing the rift's core. One-time EP bonus. Changes to the carrier's characteristics possible. Unpredictable effects possible. Unpredictable effects, he repeated internally. That is like running untested code in a production environment. He looked at the stone for a long time. But a developer who never takes risks at deployment never deploys anything. He placed his hand on the stone. Dark Kai rushed in immediately. Not painful, not pleasant. Like a sudden powerful current through the entire system. Every bone vibrated. Then silence. System. Rift core absorbed. EP bonus, 500. Hidden ability received. Undead command. Mindless, undead, within a 50-meter radius recognize the carrier as commander. Not control. Hierarchical subordination. The undead retain their instincts but do not attack the carrier and follow simple commands. Undead command, Arios thought. This is... He turned around. The wandering skeletons that had been moving chaotically through the rift had stopped. They turned their heads toward him, waiting. The ghosts had frozen in the air, watching. Arios raised his hand, pointed toward the exit of the rift. The undead slowly moved in that direction. Interesting, he thought, walking out behind them. Very interesting. Vartan was waiting at the entrance. He saw Arios come out of the crack, battered, with cracks in the armor. Then he saw what was behind him. 22 skeletons, 7 ghosts. He slowly stood up from his rock. Arios, he said carefully. Arios stopped. He raised his hand. The undead behind him stopped too. Selna watched what was happening with the expression of someone writing an article in their head and not keeping up with the material. Scales from her shoulder looked at Arios, then flew off and landed back in its usual place. The undead behind did not move. Vartan looked for a long time. At Arios. At the undead. Back at Arios. "You killed the guardian," he said. A nod. "And took an army." Arios shook his head, pointed at the undead, then at himself, then made a gesture. "Not quite like that." "Not an army," Selna translated quietly. "A retinue. A hierarchy." More precisely, Arios thought. Vartan exhaled. "You understand that if the guild sees this, they will declare you an A-level threat and send rank 1 hunters." Arios nodded. He understood. "What are you doing?" Arios turned to the undead, pointed back at the rift. The undead slowly turned around, went back into the crack. The rift closed behind them. The crack snapped shut without a sound. Silence in the forest. Vartan looked at the empty spot where 29 undead had just been. "Sent them back," he said. Arios nodded. "You could have kept them." A nod. "But you did not." A nod. A long pause. Vartan looked at him for a long time. "The way you look when you are making a decision that will change much." "Arios," he said. "We need to have a serious talk." A pause. "I know you cannot speak, but Selna can read by eye movement, gestures, and Kai." A pause. "Because soon you will grow to a level where you cannot be ignored. Not by the guild, not by the king, not by the cult of eternal night, which has been hunting sentient undead for 300 years. The cult of eternal night," Arios repeated internally. A new variable. He looked at Vartan. Sat down on the rock beside him. "I am listening." And Vartan began to tell him about the world of Asherin, about the cult, about what it means to be sentient undead in a world that had not seen such beings for 300 years. The forest rustled around them. Scales slept on his shoulder. 3,500 EP glowed quietly in the interface. Until the third evolution, 1,500. The path was only beginning. Vartan spoke for a long time. Arios listened without interrupting, only occasionally nodding or shaking his head when he needed to confirm he had understood. 300 years ago, sentient undead appeared in Asheron. Not one, an entire order. They called themselves the Awakened, skeletons, ghosts, leeches who had retained their consciousness after death or upon reincarnation. They lived in the northern mountains, did not bother people, studied Kai magic. The king at the time was afraid. Logical. Sentient undead with an organization and magic are not monsters in a forest. That is a political problem. He sent an army. The Order of the Awakened was destroyed in half a year. The last lich, by the name of Karan, was publicly executed in the capital. But before his death, Karen said one phrase that was recorded in the chronicles. "We will return in 3 centuries, and next time there will be more of us." 3 centuries passed 8 years ago, said Vartan. Since then, individual cases of sentient undead have been appearing all across Asheron. He looked at Arios. "You are the third one I have personally known." Arios held up 2 fingers. "Are the other 2 alive?" "One, yes. Lives in the mountains, avoids people. The second was killed by the cult of eternal night 2 years ago." "The cult," Arios reminded him with a gesture. "The cult of eternal night is a religious movement. They appeared at roughly the same time the Order of the Awakened was destroyed. They believe that sentient undead is a desecration of the world, a violation of the order of life and death." Vartan was silent for a moment. "They hunt. Professionally. The best of them are stronger than rank 1 hunters of the guild." "How many of them?" A gesture. "Unknown." Selna spoke up for the first time. "They operate in secret. Outwardly ordinary people. Merchants, officials, mages. Inside, fanatics with combat training and special weapons against undead." A pause. "Weapons against undead work differently from ordinary ones. Special runes, particular Kai, strikes directly at the bone structure or ghostly form. Against those, your durability is no protection." Good warning, Arios thought. "Do they already know about you?" asked Vartan. "Directly," Arios thought for a second. Shrugged. "Possibly. The cave is not far from Calderos, said Vartan. The village is small, rumors travel. A pause. 7 slugs killed in the lower cave, the stoneworm dead, the swamp troll dead. That is noticeable. Guild hunters talk. If the cult has people in the guild, and most likely they do, they know. Arios nodded. Took in the information. That means relocating the base. The cave is no longer safe. He stood up, pointed at the cave, then spread his hands. Leave. Agreed, said Vartan. But where? Arios pointed at the map Vartan always carried, tucked in his belt. Vartan took it out, unfolded it. Arios studied it for a long time, methodically, then pointed to a spot in the northeastern corner of the map. There, a mountain range was drawn and a small note. Old ruins. Unexplored. Anomalous zone. The ruins of Darren, said Vartan. 5 days' travel. An old fortress, abandoned for centuries. They say there is a strong background key of the dark type there, which is why no one settled nearby. He looked at Arios. For you it is ideal. Dark key will strengthen regeneration and growth. A pause. But getting there is 5 days through open terrain. Villages, roads, people. A problem, Arios thought. At night, said Selna. If you travel only at night and go around populated areas, it is possible. Slower, about 8 days, but safer. Arios nodded. Vartan looked at him for a long time. Then, we will escort you to the ruins. Arios shook his head. No need. There is a need, said Vartan firmly. You do not know the road. You do not know where the cult's sentries are. You cannot speak if something goes wrong. A pause. We will escort you. Why do you need this? A gesture. Vartan was silent for a moment. Then, because 300 years ago the Order of the Awakened was destroyed for no reason, he said. They were not a threat, simply different. A pause. I do not want to see that again. Silence in the forest. Arios looked at Vartan, at Selna, at the 3 warriors who had been listening to this conversation and were silent. People who help because they think it is right, he thought. Not for money. Not out of fear. Park Ji-hoon in his past life did not know how to accept help. Always alone, always by himself. Maybe that was a mistake. He nodded. Slowly. Good. Together. They set out at sunset. Arios in full bone armor. The ash bark hid the outline of the skeleton. In the dark, he looked like a person wrapped in a cloak. Almost, if you did not look at the hands. Selna solved the problem simply. She took long leather gloves and a cloak with a deep hood from her bag. The innkeeper in the next village is short-sighted, she said, but still better not to risk it. Scales sat under the cloak by the neck, small, warm, quiet. He had gotten used to hiding back in the cave, climbed in on his own. The first night they walked in silence, Vartan led, the others held formation. They went around roads, moved through fields and copses. Arios moved silently, a habit from weeks of hunting in the cave. Vartan's warriors were professionals, quiet too. Only Selna occasionally whispered something to herself. Arios understood she was scanning the space, searching for an anomalous Kai signature. Early warning. At dawn, they found an abandoned barn by an old field. They lay low. The people slept in shifts. Arios did not sleep. He could not. He did not need to. He sat by a gap in the wall and watched the sunrise. The first sunrise I have seen in this world, he thought. There were no sunrises in the cave. The sky turned orange, then pink. 3 moons grew pale and faded. Birds began to make noise in the grove across the way. Beautiful. Park Ji-hoon could not remember the last time he had watched a sunrise. Thought the part of him that was still Park Ji-hoon. Work, a screen, coffee. Sunrises happened outside the window while he looked at the monitor. Interesting how the mind works. He died, was reborn as a skeleton, and still notices sunrises. Scales climbed out from under the cloak, sat beside him. Also watched, or pretended to. Drakes probably did not understand the aesthetics of sunrises. But he is warm, Arios thought. The only living creature for whom it does not matter that I am a skeleton. The problem appeared on the third day. Selna raised her hand. Stop. Everyone stopped. A sentry, she said quietly. Ahead, 200 meters. 1. Kai dim, tired or asleep. Go around, asked the warrior named Dren. Quiet, broad-shouldered, the most experienced of the three. We cannot, said Vartan. Swamp to the left, open field to the right, the moon is bright tonight. He will see us. Then past him, said Selna. Quickly and quietly. I will mask the group's aura for a minute, no more. Arios, Vartan turned. You especially. Your dark ki bleeds through even behind masking, a little. Stay in the middle, close together. Arios stood between Dren and the second warrior, Marcus. Young, nervous. Marcus glanced at him, then looked forward. Selna did something. Arios felt a quiet screen form around the group. Kai was not readable from outside. Move. The sentry, a man by a tree, with a spear, head lowered. He was dozing. They passed 30 meters away, silently, evenly, almost. Scales under the cloak sneezed. The sentry raised his head. He looked into the darkness. Arios did not move, literally froze mid-step, 1 foot in the air, did not put it down. Beside him, Dren also froze. The sentry looked for about 10 seconds, then lowered his head again. Arios slowly lowered his foot. The group walked another 200 meters before Vartan exhaled. Scales, he whispered into the darkness under Arios's cloak with the tone of someone who wants to curse but cannot. Scales poked his nose out, looked at Vartan with golden eyes. Dren laughed quietly, almost soundlessly, his shoulders shaking. Selna sensed them an hour before contact. 3, she said. Kai specific. Deliberately suppressed. An aura concealment technique. That is how professionals work. A pause. The cult of eternal night. Vartan immediately stopped the group. They stood at the edge of a birch grove. Ahead, a road. Beyond the road, a field. Where are they headed? He asked. Parallel to us. On an intercept course to the west. Selna looked into the darkness. They cannot see us. But they are moving as if they know the direction. They have been tracking us for a while, said Dren quietly. That means they know I left the cave, Arios thought. And they know the approximate direction. Someone informed them, or they were watching themselves. Vartan looked at the map. If we go around, an hour's detour, we lose darkness. At sunrise, we will be in the open. If we go straight, a confrontation, said Marcus. Vartan looked at Arios. Arios thought, 3 cultists, professionals. They have weapons against undead. Selna said so, special runes, strikes directly at bone structure. My rank is D, their rank unknown, but they are moving to intercept. That means they already know I'm here. Going around only delays it. He pointed forward. We go, straight? Vartan raised an eyebrow. Arios nodded, then gestured. Me first. You behind. You want to go first? A nod. They will see you. Exactly, a nod. Vartan looked for a second, then understood. Bait, he said quietly. Arios nodded. They come for me. Give them what they want, just on my terms. Vartan thought for 3 seconds. Then, Dren, Marcus, flanks, Selna, far rear, magical support. I follow Arios, 20 meters. He looked at Arios. Signal when to start? Arios raised his fist. When I raise my hand, he stepped onto the road alone. He walked calmly, not fast, not slow. Cloak, hood, gloves. In the dark, the silhouette of a large person. The cultists appeared 3 minutes later. They came out from 3 sides, professionally, without unnecessary movements. 2 men, 1 woman. Dark clothing, no markings. The men's weapons, short swords with runes that glowed faintly blue. The woman had a staff with a white stone at the end. A staff. A mage. The main threat. Stop, said one of the men. Voice even, emotionless. A professional. Drop the hood. Arios stopped. He did not drop it. Last chance, said the man. Arios slowly raised his hand. not toward the hood. The signal. From the darkness behind him, Vartan. From the flanks, Dren and Marcus. All quiet, all fast. The cultists reacted instantly. Professionals. The woman jumped back, the staff lit up. One man turned toward Vartan, the second stayed on Arios. Arios removed the hood. The man before him saw black bones under the ash bark of the armor, blue flames in the eye sockets. He froze for a second. 1 second is enough. Arios stepped forward. Ash burst on contact. A cloud of gray dust straight into the face. The man staggered back, swung the sword blindly. The sword with runes. Arios felt the blade catch his left forearm. Not an ordinary cut. A sharp flash through the bone, like an electric discharge. The bone cracked quickly, sharply, far faster than from an ordinary blow. Special weapon. Works. Do not let it hit again. He knocked the man down. Not with a strike, with his body, simply pressed down with the weight of a 2-meter bone knight. The man fell. The sword flew to the side. From the corner of his vision, Vartan with the second cultist, fighting. Dren came up behind the female mage. The woman did not lose her composure. The staff struck with a white Kai discharge. Dren evaded. Almost. It caught his shoulder. He flew back a meter. Selna responded from the rear. Dark blue magic, a key strike. The woman raised a shield. It held, but the staff went dark. The energy spent on defense. Marcus reached her from the side, blade at her throat. "Stop," he said quietly. The woman froze. Arios kept the first man pinned to the ground. Vartan had disarmed the second. He sat on one knee, arm twisted, not moving. Silence on the road. 3 cultists neutralized. 30 seconds. Vartan went around the field, checked quickly, professionally. Looked at Arios. "The arm," he said. Arios raised his left forearm. The crack from the runic sword was visible. The bone slightly crumbled at the edges. "Special weapon," Selna confirmed. She came over, examined it. "Will it recover quickly or slower than usual?" Arios gestured. "Slower." The system noted, "Runic damage requires twice the normal regeneration time." "Remember the sensation," said Selna. "This will not be the last time." The cultists were bound. Vartan interrogated them, briefly without excess. Arios sat nearby and listened. All 3, mid-level cult operatives. Task: confirm the presence of sentient undead in the region and eliminate if possible. Source of information: from the guild, as Vartan had expected. The informant's specific name was known only to the handler, not them. The handler is in the city of Westmar, 2 days to the west. "How many cult people know about me?" Vartan asked the question for Arios. "The whole Westmar cell," answered the senior of the 3. 8 people. The handler sent a report to the central temple. "They know a sentient undead of rank D has appeared." No name. Appearance: a dark skeleton in armor with a small drake. With a small drake, Arios repeated internally. A memorable detail. Scales under the cloak, as if he had sensed it, poked his nose out. Looked at the cultist, retreated back. "What do we do with them?" Marcus quietly asked Vartan. Vartan looked at Arios. Arios thought, "Kill them. 3 bodies. The cult will send people to look for the missing. Release them. They will report to the handler. They will tell him about the escort group, about the direction. There is a third option." He walked up to the senior cultist, crouched in front of him, looked at his face, blue flames in black eye sockets. The man looked back, trying to hide his fear, doing it poorly. Arios raised one finger. "Listen." He began gesturing, slowly, clearly. Selna translated aloud for the group. "You will leave," Selna said in his gestures. "You will tell the handler that you found the undead, attacked. The undead was stronger. 2 are wounded. 1 lost their weapon. The undead went north into the mountains toward the ice ridge, not toward the ruins of Darren." A pause. "If you tell the truth, I will find you. Not now. Later. When I am stronger." A pause. "If you say what I am asking, I will never look for you." The cultist looked at him for a long time. "You think I will trust undead?" he said. Arios gestured. "No, not trust. Just calculate. If you lie to the handler, I will come. If you tell the truth, I will also come. But later, and angrier. The best option for you is a lie in my favor. Silence. The senior cultist looked. He was calculating. That was visible. Suppose, he said finally. Arios nodded. Stood up. Vartan looked at him. Do you trust them? Arios shook his head. No. Then why? Arios gestured. Buy time. 3 fingers. 3 weeks minimum. By the time he gets to the handler will verify. Send people to the ice ridge. Find nothing. Reorient. Selna was translating his gestures freely now. She had gotten used to it. 3 to 4 weeks. Enough for us to reach the ruins. Vartan looked. Then, logical, he said shortly. The cultists were untied. They disappeared into the darkness quickly, without looking back. Dren watched them go. They will lie to the handler, he said. Most likely, Vartan agreed. Because they fear the undead more than the handler? Because he gave them a choice with logic, said Selna. People do what is beneficial. It is more beneficial for them to lie. Marcus looked at Arios. You came up with that in a minute? Arios shrugged. Park Jihan debugged bugs for 11 hours, he thought. Sometimes the solution comes fast. Depends on the problem. The ruins appeared on the horizon an hour before sunrise. A dark mass of stone against the mountain range. Walls partially collapsed, partially standing. One tower remained intact, the rest in ruins. Around it, dead trees, black earth. A silence that was felt physically. Dark Kai radiated from here. Arios felt it from a kilometer away. Dense, saturated, heavy. Not hostile, simply concentrated. Like a strong electromagnetic field, he thought. Uncomfortable for most people. For me, like a charging station. He felt it physically when he entered the ruins through a gap in the wall. Dark Kai began slowly absorbing into the bones, passively, without effort. Not a lot, but constant. The system noted quietly. Passive ki accumulation in this location, regeneration speed ×2. Good. Vartan surveyed the ruins professionally, with a torch, hand on his sword. No undead, he said. There was at some point, the traces are old. But it is empty now. A pause. Dark Kai too, dense even for undead. They prefer gentler places. Ideal. Water. An underground spring, right there. Selna pointed to the corner of the courtyard where the stones were darker and wetter. Hunting in the forest beyond the ridge, there is game. She turned to Arios. Everything needed for growth. Arios stood in the center of the ruins courtyard. He looked at the walls, at the one intact tower, at the dead trees beyond the perimeter, at the 3 moons above the ridge. New base, he thought. Better than the cave. Scales climbed out from under the cloak, looked around slowly, nose in the air, then ran confidently to the nearest wall, started scratching with his claws, found something in the stone. Was eating. Crystal dust in the stones, said Selna, watching. Old ruins are full of it. He will have enough for a long time. Good for him too then, Arios noted. Vartan came over, stood beside him. They were silent for a moment. We leave at sunrise, he said finally. The group is waiting in Calderos. Contracts are overdue. Arios nodded. He had expected it. We will come back in a month, Vartan continued, to check on you, and bring a few things. What? A gesture? Selna has arranged something with a person at the academy, said Vartan. An old mage, studies the history of the awakened. He wants to meet you, in person, Arios thought. The academy? A mage who studies sentient undead. Information in exchange for what? Need to know more about this person before agreeing. He gestured. Find out more about him first. We are already checking, said Selna. That is why I say in a month. She was looking at Arios with the expression he had already learned to read. She was simultaneously studying him and thinking about her notes. Arios, may I ask a personal question? A nod. Do you miss your past life? A long pause. Arios looked at the 3 moons. Park Ji-hun, the apartment in Seoul. Parents in Busan who he did not call on Sunday. The startup, The 43rd code revision. Do I miss it? He gestured slowly. Sometimes. Not the life. The people. Selna nodded. She was writing. He could see her fingers moving, memorizing. Thank you for answering honestly. Vartan clapped him on the shoulder. Carefully, but like a person, the way you clap an old acquaintance. A month, he repeated. Grow in the meantime. The group left at sunrise through the gap in the wall toward the forest. Ario stood by the tower and watched until they disappeared behind the trees. Silence in the ruins. Dark Kai pulsed in the stones. Scales gnawed at the wall and was content. The system quietly counted the passive accumulation. EP, 3,500 of 5,000. 1,500 until the third evolution, Arios thought. Plus passive accumulation from Kai here, plus hunting in the forest beyond the ridge. A month. Vartan returns in a month. Need to make it before he comes back. Need to get stronger. He turned toward the forest beyond the ridge. Sunrise flooded the sky with orange. Arios worked methodically. The first 3 days, studying the territory. The ruins of Darren turned out to be larger than they appeared from outside. The outer walls, a perimeter of roughly 200 by 200 meters. Inside, a main courtyard, 3 wings in varying states of ruin, an underground level beneath the tower, a well with clean water. The underground level was the most interesting. Old halls, empty shelves along the walls, several rooms with the remains of furniture that had turned to dust. And the concentration of Dark Kai was at its maximum right here. Underground, deep in the stone, something pulsed slowly and powerfully. The system gave no explanations. It simply noted an anomalously high background. Later, Arios decided, growth first. The forest beyond the ridge turned out to be rich, not with slugs and bats, with creatures of a different level. A mountain region, wild, untouched. Here lived stone bears of rank D, shadow lynxes of rank D+, packs of bone jackals of rank E. First night hunt. A bone jackal. Arios found a pack at a mountain stream, took 2 in 10 minutes. Quickly, no losses, barely straining. Rank D against rank E. That is a difference, he thought on the way back. Before I was on the bottom. Now I am on top. Unpleasant to think how quickly that changes one's perception. The stone bear was harder. Rank D, heavy, with skin like natural stone. Arios spent 40 minutes on it and got a crack in his right knee from a tail blow. But 200 EP bonus for difficulty another 40. Every night. 1 bear or 2 lynxes, he calculated. Plus passive accumulation from Dark Kai in the ruins. 3 weeks will be enough. In the second week, Arios noticed that scales had changed. Not dramatically, but noticeably. The scales had grown darker. From gray, they had become anthracite with a blue tint. The horn growth on the nose had grown by a centimeter. And wings. Before, small, leathery, like a bat's. Now they opened wider, with dark veins along the membranes. The system recognized the change. Ash Drake, first growth stage. Saturation with Dark Kai has accelerated development. Current rank E+. New ability, Ash Breath. A small burst of dark ash from the mouth. Damage minimal but blinds and disorients. Arios looked at the drake. Scales looked back at him with golden eyes, with that serious expression small creatures get when they are doing something important. Then opened his mouth and sneezed an ashy cloud right into Arios's face. Arios could not see for 3 seconds. Ash breath worked even on him. Excellent, he thought when his vision returned. We will train. The next 3 days they practiced, not consciously as training. Scales simply jumped at him from ambushes and used ash breath. Arios learned to react before the ash covered his eye sockets. The small, vicious drake turned out to be an excellent trainer. EP, 4,700 of 5,000. 300 until the third evolution. Arios sat in the underground hall beneath the tower, meditating in the flow of Dark Kai. This accelerated the passive accumulation, not meditation in the human sense, simply stopping all movement, minimizing key expenditure, maximizing absorption of the background. Scales slept nearby. curled up in a ball on an old stone. Arios thought, Vartan returns in 12 days. By then, there will be a third evolution. What comes next? Unknown. The ruins are a good base. But he cannot sit here forever. The cult knows I exist. Even if those 3 cultists lied to the handler, that is only a delay. The Central Temple received a report. They will send someone more serious than 3 operatives. The question is when. The answer came sooner than he expected. Scales woke up abruptly, raised his head, stared into the darkness of the corridor. A quiet hissing sound. A warning. Arios felt it a second later. Kai outside, dense, compressed, skillfully concealed. Almost imperceptible. Better than those 3 on the road. Much better. 1 person. Rank. Arios tensed. Tried to read it. C+, maybe B. 1 person of rank B. This is not an operative. Arios exited the tower through a side gap, not through the main entrance. Circled along the perimeter wall. Watched from the shadow. The person stood in the center of the main courtyard. Waiting, which meant he knew Arios had already sensed him, was not hiding. A man. Tall, lean, in a gray cloak with no markings. About 40 in appearance. Cultivators aged slowly, so older. Weapons. A long knife on his belt in the right hand and a thin blade in the left. Kai compressed like a spring, not spending it on the background, holding it inside. A professional of the highest level. 1 mark on the cloak. Small, near the right shoulder. Arios did not know the cult's symbology, but the intuition of Park Ji-hoon, who had read too much manga in his free time, suggested this is not a common member. The system confirmed curtly. Reaper of the Cult of Eternal Night. Rank unknown, presumably B to B+. Specialization, elimination of sentient undead. Statistics, 17 targets of the sentient undead class eliminated. 17, Arios repeated internally. This is his work, his specialization. I know you are there, said the Reaper. Voice quiet, calm, not threatening, simply stating a fact. You do not need to hide. Arios did not move. The dark Kai here is dense, the Reaper continued as if talking to himself. You are using it for growth. Smart. A pause. The third evolution is close. I can feel it by the saturation of the aura. He is reading my growth from the aura, Arios realized. Experienced. I am not an enemy by default, said the Reaper. I came to talk. If I wanted to kill, I would have done it while you were meditating below. I had the opportunity. True, Arios acknowledged. He did. He stepped out of the shadow, stood 20 meters from the Reaper. Bone armor activated, blue flames in the eye sockets, 2 meters of dark bones. The Reaper looked at him without fear, without contempt, with professional interest, the way a surgeon looks at a complex case. You are the 17th I have encountered, said the Reaper. The first 13 I destroyed without conversation. The next 3 I talked to first, then destroyed. Arios waited. You are different, said the Reaper, not because you are stronger, though you are growing fast, because your decision-making is smarter. The 3 cultists on the road are alive. You could have killed them, you did not. A pause. Sentient undead that controls its impulse. That is rare. Where's he going with this? Arios thought. The Reaper took a step to the side, slowly, neutrally, not coming closer. I have served the cult for 20 years, he said. I believed in what I was doing. Sentient undead is a violation of order, a threat to the living, must be destroyed. A pause. Then I met the 14th, a female ghost in the mountains to the north. Had lived there 30 years. Did not bother people, healed sick animals, talked with travelers who passed through. A long pause. I killed her. Because that was the job. Arios did not move, was listening. A year after that I began to doubt. The Reaper looked directly. The cult says that sentient undead is dangerous by its very nature, that sooner or later any of them will cause harm to the living, that the order of life and death is sacred. A pause. But I have seen 17. Of them 4 were dangerous. The other 13 were not. He is not here to kill, Arios realized, or not only that. The Reaper took something from inside his cloak, a small object, and threw it on the ground between them. Arios looked. A cult mark, the same as the one on the Reaper's cloak, but broken in half. "I left the cult 3 months ago," said the Reaper. "They consider me to have gone over to the side of the undead. They are searching for me." A pause. "I came because you are gaining power quickly, and because soon the cult will send more than just me." "How many?" Arios' gesture. 3 Reapers and a High Inquisitor," answered the man. "Rank A." A pause. "Against you right now. No chance." Arios looked at the broken mark on the ground. A former Reaper. Left the cult. Knows their methods, structure, strength. Looking for what? A side? A goal? Or simply telling the truth because he is tired of lying? He gestured slowly. "What do you need?" The Reaper answered simply, "To help you survive until you are strong enough." A pause. "And to destroy the cult." Another pause. "From inside? I know everything. The structure, the bases, the High Inquisitor, the weak points." He looked directly. "You know I can kill you quickly if I choose to. You know I chose not to." That is a mutual demonstration of intent. Long silence in the ruins. Dark Kai pulsed in the stones. 3 moons above the ridge, Arios looked at the Reaper. Analysis. Risks are high. This could be a trap. The cult could have sent him deliberately, to gain trust, to obtain information about strength and plans. But he could have killed me while I was meditating. He did not. That cannot be staged. And his Kai, Arios had been reading it while he spoke. No signs of lying that even good liars have. The pulsation frequency of ki changes under lying. This man's is even. Either he is not lying, or he is so skilled he masks even the ki background. The second is possible for a B rank. The first is also possible. Not enough data for a confident decision. Arios raised one finger. "One question. Ask it." Arios gestured. "The 14th. The female ghost you killed. What was her name?" The Reaper froze. For the first time in the entire conversation, something changed in his face. "Eileen," he said quietly. "Her name was Eileen." A pause. "She told me her name herself, before her death. She said it so at least someone would remember." Silence. Arios looked at him for one more second, then stepped aside, clearing the passage to the tower. Pointed there. "Come in." The Reaper looked at him. Something in him relaxed, imperceptibly, but Arios could see it. "Understood," he said. He picked up the broken mark from the ground and put it in his pocket. Walked toward the tower. Arios walked behind him. Scales crept out of the shadow by the wall, looked at the new person, assessed in his own way, in a Drake's way, then unhurriedly padded after them. He accepted him, Arios noted. Good sign. The Reaper's name was Karis. Not the name given at birth. A name he had taken himself when he joined the cult 20 years ago. He did not give his real name. Arios did not ask. It seemed personal. They spoke in the underground hall. Karis talked, Arios listened, and answered with gestures. Selna would have been pleased. Karis read gestures almost as well as she did. 20 years of hunting sentient undead gave him an understanding of nonverbal communication. The information he had brought was important. The Cult of Eternal Night is not a religious organization in the conventional sense. On the outside, yes, religion, sacred texts, temples, preachers. On the inside, a military structure with a clear hierarchy. The High Inquisitor, 1. Name, Sarok. Rank A+. Old, reportedly over 200 years old, a cultivator of the highest level who slows aging to a minimum. He leads the cult personally, makes all key decisions. Under him, 7 Reapers. The elite, specializing in sentient undead, ranks from B to B+. Karis was one of them until 3 months ago. Below, Inquisitors, ranks C to C+. There are many of them, several hundred across all of Acheron. They are in the cities, villages, the guild, the eyes and ears of the cult. Below that, operatives. Those 3 on the road. Sarok knows about you, said Karis. Not just that a sentient undead exists. He knows about the evolutionary system. The cult has been tracking the appearance of such cases for 300 years. There are archives. A pause. Sentient undead with an evolution system. An extremely rare case. The last one was 600 years ago. 600 years, Arios noted. What happened in that case? It reached rank A before being destroyed, said Karis. It took the entire cult and 3 armies. A pause. Sarok does not want a repeat. So you are a priority. He will deal with it personally if the Reapers fail. Arios gestured. How long until the Reapers arrive? 3 of them plus an Inquisitor. I saw them 2 weeks ago in Westmar, said Karis. They are moving slowly. Following the trail, they do not want to spook you. By my estimate, 2 to 3 weeks. Vartan returns in 12 days, Arios thought. The Reapers arrive in 2 to 3 weeks. The overlap is possible. Need Vartan not to be here when the Reapers come, or need to be ready by then. He gestured. 3rd evolution in about 3 days. Karis nodded slowly. Rank C after the 3rd, he said. 3 Reapers of rank B. That is a lot. A pause. But you are not alone. You are offering yourself, Arios' gesture. I know their style, said Karis. Each of the 3 they will send. I trained with them. I know their weaknesses. A pause. 1 Reaper of rank B plus against me at rank B, that is hard. But I know him better than he knows me. Why did you really leave the cult? A gesture. Karis was silent for several seconds. Eileen, he said finally. I already told you. 1 reason is rarely enough, Arios gestured. Karis looked at him. Something heavy in his face. I have a daughter, he said. She is 12, lives with her mother in a small city in the south. A pause. 2 months ago, she died. An illness? A fast one? A pause. A week after her death, she was seen near the house. A ghost. Sentient, remembers everything. She had come to say goodbye to her mother. Silence in the underground hall. The local cell's Inquisitor filed a report, Karis continued quietly. A sentient ghost, a target. I saw the report. A long pause. I left the cult 3 days later. Found her before the Inquisitors. Took her far away from the city. A pause. She is safe now. But the cult is searching for both of us. Arios listened. A daughter, a sentient ghost, a former Reaper protecting her. He left the organization he served for 20 years. That explains everything. He gestured. Is she safe now? Yes, said Karis. For now. Where? Better not to say aloud. Karis looked directly. You understand. Arios nodded. I understand. Scales approached Karis carefully, sniffing the air, then sat down beside him. That was his way of saying, accepted? Karis looked at the drake. Ash drake, he said quietly. Rare. A pause. They choose their master once. I know, a nod from Arios. Good sign, said Karis. On the 21st day in the ruins. The system. EP. 5,000 of 5,000. 3rd evolution available. Arios descended to the underground hall, there where the dark Kai was at its maximum. Karis stayed above. Scales sat at the entrance to the hall, did not go inside but did not leave either. Arios sat in the center. He closed his eyes, or more precisely, extinguished the flames in his eye sockets. Complete darkness. He activated the evolution. It was nothing like the previous 2 times. First evolution, a repainting. Second, a reforging. Third, destruction and creation anew. The bones began to come apart. Literally, molecularly. He felt each bone losing its structure, becoming something intermediate between solid and liquid. Dark ki from the stone entered powerfully, as if the ruins had been waiting for exactly this moment. There was no pain, but there was fear. For the first time since arriving in this world, he felt something resembling fear. Not of death, of losing himself. What if in this intermediate state something went wrong? This is like a system update with disk formatting, thought Park Jihin somewhere inside. Data is preserved. It should be preserved. It should be. Darkness. Silence. Dark Kai moving through what had once been bones. Then the quiet voice of the system. Not text, an actual voice for the first time. The carrier demonstrates stability of consciousness during full restructuring. The anomaly is confirmed. Evolution is non-standard. A hidden evolution path has been detected. Activate? Arios, or what remained of him at that moment, thought. A hidden path. Non-standard. Unpredictable consequences. The system had said that at the very beginning. But the standard path is simply a stronger skeleton. The hidden one might give something different. Which is worse, a predictable limitation or an unpredictable possibility. Park Ji-hyun always chose the predictable. Arios, no, activate. When the light returned, Karis was standing at the entrance to the hall. He was watching silently. For a long time. Then slowly. Arios. Arios looked at his hands. Bones are there, but different. Not anthracite black, dark blue with white veins. Like a night sky with veins of starlight. Almost transparent in the dark. Through them, a faint inner glow was visible. He stood up, movements light, almost weightless. As if the bones had become simultaneously more durable and lighter. The system, in a voice again, third evolution, hidden path. Form, Phantom Lord, rank C+. Durability 6 times the original. Speed, the limit for rank C+. New body type, semi-phantasmal. In the normal state, a physical skeleton. When Phantom mode is activated, partially intangible. Physical attacks in Phantom mode pass through with 70% loss of effectiveness. New abilities. First, Phantom Step. A brief complete transformation into a phantom. Invulnerability to physical attacks for 2 seconds. Cooldown 30 seconds. Second, Void Wail. A sound attack from Dark Kai. For creatures below rank B, temporary suppression of will. Not control, panic, and disorientation. Third, Undead Dominion. Undead Command expanded. Now extends to sentient undead below rank C. Not coercion. An offer of hierarchy that can be accepted or declined. Fourth, sealed, the system designated it. Bone memory. Unlock condition unknown. Until 4th evolution, 20,000 EP. Karis looked at him. Phantom Lord, he said quietly. That is. He went silent. What? Arios's gesture. In the Chronicles of the Cult, said Karis slowly, 600 years ago, the sentient undead with an evolution system, the one that reached rank A before it was destroyed. A pause. In the records there was its form. It was called Phantom Lord. Silence. The same form, Arios thought. 600 years ago. Sarok read those chronicles, said Karis. All Reapers read them. A pause. If he learns you have reached this form, he will not send 3 Reapers. He will come himself, a gesture. Yes, said Karis. Arios looked at his new hands, blue bones with white veins, semi-transparent in the light. He activated Phantom mode. The body became almost invisible, a silhouette, a glow, outlines. Like smoke in the shape of a skeleton. He deactivated it. Solid again. Interesting. Then he thought about the 4th ability, bone memory. Sealed. Unlock condition unknown. Bone memory, he repeated. What does that mean? Whose bones? Whose memory? There was no answer. Scales came into the hall. Walked up to Arios. He sniffed the new bones. Looked at him for a long time with golden eyes. Then climbed onto his shoulder as always. Everything is the same, that gesture said. You are still you. Arios carefully raised his hand and scratched the drake behind the horn growth. Yes, he thought. The same. Vartan came on the 12th day, as promised, toward evening. With him, Selna, Dren, Marcus, and one more unfamiliar person, an elderly man in an academic cloak with a staff and round glasses that looked strange in a fantasy world. They came through the gap in the wall and saw Karis. Vartan stopped instantly, hand on his sword. "Who is this?" quietly. Karis did not move. He stood by the wall, hands open, a neutral posture. Arios came out of the tower. Vartan saw him and froze. The form has changed, Arios realized. He is seeing someone different. Vartan looked for several seconds, at the blue bones with veins, at the semi-transparency that was there even in the normal mode. Slightly, barely noticeable. "Third evolution," he said finally. Arios nodded. "You are different." "No," Arios shook his head. "You look different. The form is different. I am the same," a gesture. Vartan looked for one more second, then nodded. He accepted it. "This person," he pointed at Karis. "Who is he?" Arios gestured. "An ally." "Then more complex with fingers. A former enemy. A former reaper," said Selna. She read his gestures better than anyone, from the cult of eternal night. Vartan looked at Karis for a long time. Karis met his gaze steadily. "The cult will send 3 reapers and an inquisitor," said Karis without preamble. "In 1 to 2 weeks. I know each of them. I know their styles and weaknesses." A pause. "Arios accepted my help. If you do not trust me, I understand. But information is worth more than trust." Vartan looked at him, then at Arios. "You checked him, not a question." Arios nodded. "How can you check a person?" said Vartan. "You cannot read minds." "I read Kai," a gesture. "Lying changes the pulsation. His is steady. A professional of rank B can conceal key background." "He can," Arios agreed, "but he cannot conceal his daughter's name." Vartan was silent. He looked at Arios. "His daughter's name," he repeated slowly. Arios nodded. "Long to explain." "Trust me." A long pause. "Fine," said Vartan finally. "Your decision." Then he turned to the elderly man in glasses who had been standing quietly this whole time, watching with an expression of sharp interest. "Professor Einar," said Vartan. "This is Arios, the one I told you about." Professor Einar stepped forward. Small, bald, with a white beard and eyes the color of old amber. Kai unexpectedly strong. Rank B, academic type. Not combat-oriented, but saturated with knowledge. He looked at Arios with the expression that scholars get when they see what they have dreamed of their whole life. "Phantom Lord," he said quietly. Not in surprise, like a man confirming a long-held hypothesis. "Third form," a pause. "Young man, I have been studying the history of the Awakened for 43 years. Another pause. "You are the best thing that has happened to my career." Arios looked at him. 43 years, he thought. He knows what Vartan, Selna, and Karis do not have combined. That matters. He gestured. "Sit down. Everyone. We need to talk. We have little time." They sat in the underground hall. Vartan, Selna, Dren, Marcus, Karis, Professor Einar. Arios stood. A habit. Sitting was uncomfortable in the new form. Scales dozed on a stone in the corner. Karis presented the situation. Briefly, precisely. A military briefing with nothing extra. 3 Reapers. An Inquisitor C+. 1 to 2 weeks. 3 Reapers, said Dren when Karis finished. "That is an army against us." "Not against us," said Vartan. "Against Arios. We are an obstacle they will remove along the way." "Thank you. That was comforting." "How many Reapers can you take on your own?" Vartan asked Karis. "1, with confidence," Karis answered. 2, if I am lucky. 3, no. Arios? Arios thought. Phantom Lord, rank C+. 1 Reaper of rank B. That is hard. Possible. 2, very bad. 3, no. He gestured. 1, maybe 2. "So between us we can take a maximum of 3 Reapers," Vartan summarized. "There are 3 of them." A pause. "That is in the ideal scenario." "Plus the Inquisitor." "The Inquisitor is C+, said Karis. "Your group can handle him with Selna's support." "Suppose," said Vartan without much enthusiasm. Professor Einar had been silent this whole time. Arios looked at him. The old man was thinking, staring at the table. "What?" Arios's gesture. Einar raised his head. I am not thinking about the battle, he said. I am thinking about why the cult fears the Phantom Lord so much. A pause. 600 years ago, that case? In the chronicles I read, not in the cult's chronicles, in old academic ones. It is written that the Phantom Lord 600 years ago was not destroyed in combat. Silence. What? Said Karis. In the chronicles of the cult. The cult rewrote its chronicles, said Einar calmly. That is standard practice for religious organizations. A pause. In the original records of the Academy of that time, the Phantom Lord was destroyed from within by the betrayal of one of his closest allies. A pause. Not in battle. The cult did not defeat him by force. Everyone looked at the old man. That means Sarok knows. A Phantom Lord cannot be taken in a direct confrontation, Einar continued. That means the Reapers are not the main plan. A pause. The main plan is infiltration of the inner circle. Betrayal from within. A slow silence. Arios looked at the people around him. Vartan, Selna, Dren, Marcus, Karis, Einar. One of them? Or it will be someone else. Someone who comes later. Arios, said Vartan quietly. Are you thinking what I am thinking? Yes, a nod. I am not a traitor, said Vartan evenly. Neither am I, said Selna. I left the cult, said Karis. That in itself is proof. Proof of anything, said Dren, unexpectedly sharply. Sorry, Karis, but you are a former Reaper who appeared exactly when the cult needed you. A perfect cover. Karis looked at him. Without anger, calmly. Correct logic, he said. I would think the same. Arios raised his hand. Stop. Everyone went silent. He thought for several seconds, then gestured slowly. Selna translated. Betrayal only works if the traitor knows the plan. A pause. That means we should not have one plan that everyone knows. A pause. Each person knows their own part. I know everything. No one else knows everything. Silence. You do not fully trust any of us, said Vartan. I partially trust each of you. A gesture. That is enough. A long pause. Vartan looked at him for a long time. The way you look when you realize the person before you has grown into something greater. Fine, he said finally. Your game, your rules. Arios nodded. My game. He looked at the blue bones of his hands in the dimness of the underground hall, at the faint glow of the veins. Park Ji-hun died alone at 2 in the morning. Arios? No, that is already a difference.